you.
Okay. Good afternoon, Chief Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. We all understand the importance of time in this busy world. And today, my job is to ensure that everyone sticks to the time allocated uh, because it like enables uh, better productivity, efficiency, and success as a leader. So I will be alerting the time left by each speaker by changing my background to red. Just changing. Sorry, I am not finding myself. Yeah. So by changing my background to green, yellow, and red. So at 5 minutes, I will change my for the speaker. At 5 minutes, I will change my background to green. And at 6 minutes, I will raise the yellow card by changing my background to yellow. And at 7 minutes, I will change. I will raise the red flag by changing my background to red. Similarly, just after the speech, I will report the time taken by the test speaker for consideration in evaluation. And I'll also time each of the evaluator by raising green card at 2 minutes and raising the yellow card at 2 minutes 30 seconds and raising the red card at 3 minutes. And I'll also report the time taken by each evaluator to our chief evaluator for consideration. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Smriti. Our speaker Sai is attempting level 3, project 1 in dynamic leadership. And the purpose of this project is to introduce or review basic presentation software strategies for creating and using slides to support or enhance a speech. The speech title is All About Halloween. All About Halloween, Toastmaster Sai. Maybe before you begin, could you please confirm that you can see the timer on your screen? Toastmaster Sai?
Um, just I should pin them, right?
Yeah, you can, or else it is just visible in your bar. That's also fine.
Not really.
Can you pin
Or-
him?
Um, yeah, sort of. I can't actually view the timer.
But can you see him? So at least when he changes the background, you can see the flags.
No.
Can you move
Smriti, right? Is the timer?
Yes. Yeah,
can you
timer
move your bar
Smriti.
to make sure that he's in your
No, I
room?
can't. Can you just pin him or something? 1 second.
I'll pin him next to you.
Yeah, you can just.
This is fine.
Uh, I think it's fine. I think Smriti, since I can't see, you can just say 5, 6, and 7 in between.
The middle of your speech.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, fine.
Maybe in between, if possible, I'll try to bring that if possible.
Okay. Yeah, you can do. Yeah, you can just show your face or something. I can just see that. Yeah.
I can ping you.
Yeah, I can see you now.
Okay, nice.
Okay, then it works.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Over to you, Sai.
Okay, just 1 sec. So is my
Sorry,
PPT
Sai, we can't hear you
visible?
clearly. Sai, your voice is completely breaking. Could you please check?
Is my PPT visible?
PPT is visible. Yeah, now you are audible. You can start.
Okay. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, you are audible. It's clear.
Good.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
Can you
Okay.
turn on your
You
video?
can't see my face, right? Only the PPT.
Yeah, I can't see your
Yes.
face.
Good. Okay. I can't, not when I'm presenting apparently.
Okay, fine, no worries.
Not
Let's start. No
one
problem.
second. Okay, can you see me? Am I visible?
No, you're not.
Okay. Um, oh, guys, before I begin,
Hello? Roopa?
so
Roopa?
all about Halloween. It's October, and when it's October, and for the past 4 years, I remember. Is there a problem?
No, there's no problem. I thought you were stuck. So it's okay. Let's just start and move on.
No. Okay. Okay, I'll start. Okay. It's October. And when it's October, on the 31st of every year, for as long as I remember, for the past 5 years, I have been celebrating Halloween. And now, what is Halloween all about? I mean, everyone has seen, if you've seen any American dramas and such, you'd have seen all these kids and adults alike just dressing themselves up in these more gory and weird costumes and going around and knocking each other's places and asking for gifts or sweets. And it just seems so odd. Why would you even dress yourselves as, I mean, I don't know, ghosts, gores, zombies? Well, let me tell you, it's a fun thing to do. And I've been doing it for the past 5 years. And I want you to bring you guys into my world of how I celebrate Halloween. Now, before that, I want you guys to know, what is Halloween about? What is all this just about? Now, when we start talking about Halloween, the first thing that comes into my mind is, when did it all start? What are its origins? Halloween is originally a Samoan tradition. Now, Samoans are Celtic people and they love to invite their dead young ones who have passed away into this world, welcoming them and cherishing them. They may really just inviting them. They do what? They do that through Halloween. And during this time of the year, in October, of immortality and mortality. And between this line, they believe that spirits cross, they dress themselves up in the most abhorring manner so that the spirits don't get scared. As you can see, there are a lot of stories behind these. Another one is about jack-o'-lanterns. Now, what are these? These are scary looking pumpkins that are carved out. And every year, people have these competitions where who makes the largest pumpkin carving. Now, I never tried one myself, but I know friends who do. I never seem to find a good enough pumpkin. I just ruin one. And so I help people do it. And it's a fun game, trust me. Now they take a large pumpkin and make these weird eyes, nose, and mouth. Now, who is Jack-o'-lantern? Well, even I don't friggin' know. Apparently, the story is from an Irish myth where a stingy man known as Jack was destined to perpetual death. I don't know why he was, because it was pretty much long story and I just got bored reading about it. But I do know that the Celtics did do a lot of vegetable carvings so that the spirits could find way back to their homes of their loved ones. So how we put diyas during Diwali, I guess they put lanterns to invite spirits to home. Well, the dead spirits. Now, there's something called Halloween pumpkins. They are not just made out of pumpkins, meaning the jack-o'-lanterns, but also out of turnips. They're like, that's a typical Irish thing to do. One scary visual effect for you, which is not coming up. Sorry for that. But what I
I think we've lost Sai. Uh, I've never dealt with the situation before. I don't know.
No, I think now we're getting really contest ready because all this happens. Even if we try stuff 2, 3 times, have 2 backup devices, even then all this happens. It's fine.
I'm not sure like how to move forward from here. Whether so we just take whatever happened and take that into consideration and move forward with the evaluation, or what do
I don't know if that will be very effective, but if that's what you want to do, sure, we'll go
we
ahead.
ask if she wants to do it once again? Should we try it again?
Sai is
Sure.
back now.
should I just do it without the presentation at this point? The presentation is not working. You can't see my face.
Okay, no, but
And it
what's
sort of
the
feels
problem
awkward
you're
to just
facing?
talk to a plain.
What is the problem you're facing?
Yeah. No, I can't. So I don't know what I'm saying. I can't see the PPT. I don't think people can see my face and they can only see the PPT, and hearing my voice is kind of weird, right?
Yeah, your voice is breaking in the middle. So what do you want to do it without the presentation?
Is that okay with you, evaluator? Because
Yeah,
I think the evaluation was presentation, right? Okay.
I think as long as they have a speech that they can evaluate, I think that's what matters. So if you
Okay.
can just give a speech on the presentation, I guess they can at least evaluate that. Because right now I don't know what they're going to evaluate.
It's totally gone to down. It's totally gone down the drain. Okay. I think. Okay. So maybe I'll just try using. I mean, presentation can be done just like this. So I'll just try using some weird stuff to present. I guess. I don't know. Does this look scary?
Yeah, anything. Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just. Okay. Okay, guys, I would really appreciate it if you come and show me your faces right now. I've sort of ruined the speech, so let me just see your faces and get some energy back in the room. Okay, let me start over again. Since you guys have already seen my PPT and I had a lot of technical issues, I did put in I wanted to put some audio effects and stuff, which didn't sort of happen the way I expected it to. So I just tried my best to make any audio visual effects I want to over here.
It's
Okay.
fine. Let's just
So
have the speech. Okay.
Yeah. Halloween. Now, what is all Halloween about? I'm sure when you just saw your WhatsApp today, I'm like, Halloween? Come on. We don't even celebrate that thing. What are you even going to talk about? Well, I can talk a lot about it because I've been celebrating it for the past 5 years. And I've been a bunny, I've been a cat, and I've even been, I don't know if you guys know this popular TikTok trend of Wednesday Addams. I was her way before it even became a hit. And I enjoy dressing up. Every October 31st, my friends and I come together and we all have this fun of sitting in a room, putting makeup on each other and dressing up. And I love that thing about it. And where did all this Halloween start? Now, Halloween's origins are from the Samoans. Now, Samoan tradition is more like Celtic origins. So if you know something about the Greek mythologies, the Norse mythologies, you have the Celtic mythologies. They're mostly European. And from there, they used to celebrate this tradition where they used to invite their loved ones home. And how did they do it? They invited them by putting up these beautiful lanterns. And they believed it was in the time of Halloween, that is around October in the year, that there was a thin line, a bordering line in some sort of seasonal lines where the spirits could cross over on this date, somewhere around after 9 o'clock, to come into the world of the mortals and meet them. You can see these in a lot of traditions. Like Mexicans, for example, celebrate it in a way where they take out their loved ones from the pits and they put makeup on them and just treat them as if they're alive. And here, the Celtics, they were like, oh, let's just dress up ourselves and make ourselves look the most adorable as possible so that they don't feel uncomfortable with that. So that's how dress up came out to Halloween. So you dress yourselves up, maybe like a ghost or your favorite chocolate or anything, and just whatever interests you. And you can have fun with it. Now, coming to the jack-o'-lanterns. Now, there is a myth where Jack is an unfortunate guy who got his head cut off and keeps roaming around. It's more goes to the Irish myths. And typically, Halloween is actually a culmination of a lot of cultures. Because just like how people celebrate Christmas, a lot of people do not know this, but Christmas comes again from Samoan traditions, which was later taken by Christianity and converted into the day Christmas because it had a very popular tradition where they used to, clap around and sing songs and go around a fire. And they thought, oh no, why don't we just put a Christmas tree there and make it Christmas. And that's how Christmas started. So Halloween is such. It was taken by a bunch of white men and turned it into this, taking away all the history that was ever there behind them. Now, uh, did you know that lanterns, when you say specifically, you would think, okay, pumpkins, when you think about Halloween and such, but you could even make them with turnips. Now, the turnips are those weird vegetables with those long roots. They used to have competitions, especially in Ireland, where you just gouge them out and you make these beautiful eyes and or the horrible eyes and mouth of these turnips and see which one looked the most scariest. And now I want to ask all of you right there. Anyone can just raise your hands and tell me if you ever thought about what you would dress up as if you were to celebrate Halloween this year. Anyone? Gokila?
I guess a witch. I think I'm doing magic.
A witch? Oh, that's cool. Anyone from the audience? Satyanarayana? Guys? Manish? Roopa, you can tell me, what would you dress up as?
I
I
guess
would
as
probably
Rajnikant off the top of my
Wait.
head.
I would probably dressed up as a vampire.
Vampire? Oh, that's cool. My brother did that once. Well, Rajnikant was the most, I found it really cool. A different, very Indianized way of Halloween, definitely. Now, what do I say? What no? I forgot it. I know Telugu dialogue. నేను ఒక్కసారి చెప్పితే 100 సార్లు చెప్పినట్టు. Meaning, I say it once, I say it 100 times. Yeah. So Roopa would be Rajnikant, Manish would be vampire, Malvika would be a witch, and I this year would probably just be me. My mom calls me scary witch sometimes. Like she literally look at your face. You never put anything on your face. Just you look scary as you are when you get up in the morning. So I'll be me, the scariest person in the room. So now, since you know about Halloween and what are its origins and how it all came about, I hope you guys have probably fun this year and take out some treats. Next time someone comes to your house, if they do, because they do come to my house in our colony, we do celebrate it a bit. Just don't give them expired biscuits and bananas, please. I got them and I just don't want that. So happy Halloween, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sai. Before we break out the evaluators, can we have the timer report for the speaker, please?
Yeah, and the speaker took 6 minutes and 45 seconds.
Thank you, Toastmaster Smriti. I would now ask the Zoom moderator to move the evaluators to the breakout room.
They're gone. They're shifted to the paper.
Okay. So timer, we'll have 5 minutes. Please report a red flag once 5 minutes is up.
Sure.
So I think during this 5 minutes of time, I think I have few questions to Roopa. Roopa, could you share us how did you end up as a Toastmaster and what motivates you here every day?
Okay, the first time I attended a Toastmasters meeting was in my college within 2 or 3 weeks of joining college. So I was very timid first year. And I saw this contest going on for Toastmasters for non-Toastmasters organized by a Toastmasters club as a part of the induction. So I was really curious and I attended the contest and I was amazed by how warm and welcoming all the people there were and how much fun they were having, and I knew I wanted in. And once I started attending Toastmasters, it kind of became a habit. And in my initial 1 or 2 months of college, because it took a lot of time to settle in, having a community, having Toastmasters, and knowing that I'll be attending those meetings every Monday and Thursday at 4 o'clock, no matter what happens, that helped a lot. And I feel like that helped me build the routine. And once I built the routine, I started networking. Started seeing great speakers and leaders and wanting to be like them a little bit, and it just went on and on. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Rupa. And do you think it's important to learn public speaking at a very young age? And what's your thoughts on it?
So I am someone who did not have a lot of extracurricular activities in school. My school was 1.5 kilometers away from my home, so daily I'll wake up, roll to my school like a potato, and roll back and like be at home like pretty sedentary. I never had any extracurricular activities. But once I came to college and joined Toastmasters, what I saw was that I had lesser inhibitions than I usually have, and I was more ready to speak out and voice be a voice for myself and call out things that I usually wouldn't call out. And this led me to do a lot of things that I wouldn't have normally done. For instance, in my first year I was a part of a play in my college, or in my final year I started applying for a lot of companies that I might have been too timid to apply to in my first year. And I feel like that is what public speaking brings to you when you stand on a stage in front of say 100 or 150 people, or if you go to an event like coordination, say 400 people, and then your heart is racing and your knees are trembling and you're this far away from crying, but you somehow manage to stand there, talk, and come back. That gives you a sense of confidence that so far nothing else has given me. And I think that is why public speaking is important for everybody at all ages, and especially if a kid gets an opportunity to do that, then yes, I think they should go for it to make themselves more confident individuals and more courageous individuals.
Definitely, Rupa. I agree. I totally agree with what you have told. And my next question to you will be like, if you want to recommend someone for a Toastmaster, what is that one unique thing you would highlight?
The people,
Correct.
definitely the people. I feel like after being in Toastmasters for like 5 years almost now, I've messed up a lot. I don't answer my phone. Like my phone is always on silent, so I've missed a lot of important calls. And in general, I feel like there's so many times I could have been a better human, but I feel like here this is the only place where you're allowed to fail and people give you pointed feedback on how to become better. And you think that's just for speeches, but that's not just for speeches, especially in a district like district 120 where people are so close together within the same city. I feel like you end up becoming a better person because of all the feedback you receive, and in general all the inspiration that you have. They say that you are the sum of the five people around you. Toastmasters, especially in Bangalore, is like a pre-made set of five people who you can look at and get inspired from and all that. So
Thank you, Rupa. And I believe that evaluation play an important role because wherein a speaker gets changed actually through all his learning when they step into Toastmaster, it is only through the feedback they develop themselves. And how do you maintain to give a very positive, warm, welcoming atmosphere to all those speakers?
I think the important thing is to acknowledge that an evaluation section is there in the Toastmasters meeting because all of us take the stage wanting to grow, wanting to do better. If we kept speaking again and again in a meeting, even if we are the world champion of public speaking, if we don't get better from one meeting to the next, we won't come back. Even if there's someone who's already great it is who's already an excellent public speaker coming to a Toastmasters meeting, when they deliver a speech they're looking for something that they can do better. So the only thing I keep in mind is to try to be sincere, acknowledge that this is going to make them better, and at the same time acknowledge the things that all of us in the club can learn from the speaker. For instance, when we say areas of improvement, I mean, areas of strength that a speaker has, we have the tone of commending the speaker, which is excellent. But something a lot of us miss is that whatever they're doing well, the entire club can learn from it. So when I say the areas of things that went well, I make sure to point it out not just to the speaker but to the whole club, so that they feel that they have something to offer. And when I speak the call out the areas of improvement, I highlight that it's for the speaker's own growth, so that they feel that the club has something to offer them. So yeah.
Thank you, Rupa. And I think the timer has raised the red flag, and we'll be back to you at the Q&A session again. And Zoom moderator, we have our first evaluator here. Can you bring the first evaluator to this room?
Yeah, I'm just doing that. First is Manish.
Yes.
I think Manish is in the room.
Okay. So moving on to our first evaluator, Toastmaster Manish. Could you please confirm if you can see our timer?
I can see him without red background. Maybe he can change his color.
Yes.
Thank
Over
you.
to you, Manish.
Okay, thank you so much, Gokila. And thank you everyone once again for inviting me as a evaluator. Okay, so coming back to the topic which Sai has presented today, a very, very nice topic. And since October is already here, right, and Halloween is around the corner, I believe three weeks down the line, we are all excited about enjoying it. Now, she has presented her topic in a very, very well manner. Beautifully, she had described that, okay, what is Halloween? She gave the history about that. Absolutely fine. She was very clear about her thought process, what she has to present in terms of Halloween history. And also she added the personal and annotates that, okay, she has started enjoying it since last 5 years. And she gave an example of Bunny enjoying dressing up and so on. So very good on that part as well. Throughout the conversation, I found her very energetic. She was presenting the different examples in a very energetic manner, which I like the best. Moving on, I mean, she started giving more details about Halloween, she also presented European example, which I felt like could have been avoided. Overall gesture was very good. She was giving all the examples that, okay, it is me and how I celebrated it and so on, how they were celebrating. Absolutely fine on that part as well. Engaging the audience part, I think she popped up one question also. I think the question was, if we have to celebrate it, how we are going to dress it up, right? I like that question very much. And I think that is how she kept the audience engaged, considering there was a bit challenge on presentation part. So yes, but this overall, it was very good. About her vocal variety, she used that pitch very nicely wherever she has to do that. So kudos on that part as well. So these were the positive points which I found in her overall speech today. Now, coming to some of the areas, some of the gray areas which could have been avoided. One is, I found her uh, very, she was very much trying to get involved by bringing more humorous in her speech, which was still good. But somewhere at the end of the session, when she was giving an example that, okay, when the next year comes and someone comes to you, right, during that time, do not offer the old biscuits, the expired veg foods and so on, right? That was the conclusion of the speech, I believe, right? That could have been in a more presented in a serious manner. I felt like she was still giving it in a humorous manner, which could have been avoided. That's one pointer that I observed. The second thing is, in terms of when she said that, okay, something in, I believe, I think in her native language, many of our audience who are there in the call are not aware of what is the meaning of that uh, description, right? So maybe she could have given more about detail that, okay, I this is the meaning that I have just mentioned it, right? Because we really don't know what could be the understanding of that person in terms of about that particular statement. So that is the second thing. Third thing is, in terms of one of the sliders, I know that she presented the slide, but she has to interrupt it. But in one of the slides, she had given all the details in a very descriptive manner that could have been avoided by adding bullet points, because you are presenting this, you are already sharing those details as a part of audio, right? So you are presenting it, you are already, and then you are putting all those details in a descriptive manner that could have been avoided. The people, uh, the audience who are there in this call, they're here to observe you, the pictures, the bullet points, all the other details you are already presenting it. So I think that could have been presented in a much better. So these are the observation from my side, but overall it was a very, very good speech. Thank you, Sai. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Manish. Let's move on to our next evaluator, Toastmaster Nagwali. Can we have her here?
Yeah, Nagwali is in the room.
Yeah. Nagwali, could you confirm that you can see a timer on your screen?
Timer. Where is the timer? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you
Nagwali, I
can.
need you to turn on your video, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, over to you, Nagwali.
Yeah. Good, e- good evening to fellow Toastmasters and by the target speaker, Sai. Sai, you have done a wonderful speech. You have given a wonderful speech. And for a person like me who is not aware of the Halloween, we understood what a Halloween is and how the festival of Halloween is celebrated, especially in the countries like Europe. And while giving your speech, you have added some humor like giving your personal story, how you are celebrating your the Halloween festival with your friends, and also you brought some humor, stating that your mom, how she compared you with a ghost, and that brought some humor to your story. And also, what if the presentation it comes to the negative point, and you brought something like when it comes to your the recommendations, what I felt that your speech was little fast. If you have reduced the speed, audience would catch you immediately, catch you easily, and they can, whatever they are hearing, they can keep in their mind also. And one more thing, what I felt like, you used hand gestures, but where hand gestures are required for the speech, but at the same time, too much hand gestures will interrupt the audience. And these are my recommendations. And coming to conclusion, what I feel that your speech has was very good, and we understood what a Halloween is and how it is celebrated. And over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Nagavali. I think that's the end of the evaluation part. To our chief evaluator, Rupa, would you need some additional time to complete your evaluation?
minute అని మాట్లాడతాను. Congrats అని చెప్దాం అనుకుని మర్చిపోయినా.
Nagavali, could you please mute yourself? Okay, thank you. Rupa? Sorry, I can't hear. We can't hear you, Rupa.
I said I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can proceed with the next part of the meeting.
Yes, Rupa. Then over to you for the evaluation.
Sure, just help me out with how this works. Should I present my evaluation and then the evaluation for both the evaluators, or should I go right ahead to the evaluation of the evaluators?
Anyhow you choose. It's up to you.
Okay, let's start with my evaluation then. Toastmaster Smriti, please show me the green card at 2 minutes, yellow card at 2 minutes 30 seconds, and red card at 3 minutes. So jumping right into the evaluation for Toastmaster Manaswini. Toastmaster Manaswini, you had a very well thought out content that was of personal interest to you. So this is something that you did really well. While we set aside the technical glitches that we faced, let's move on to the evaluation of your speech today. The first thing that went really well for you, I felt, was the clear commanding voice that you had. You were very clearly audible to all of us, and your interest in the content was very evident. The second thing is that you tried to keep the audience engaged by peppering your speech with instances of humor, like for instance, your mom calling you a ghost, or the Rajnikant dialogue. And you also added a question in between: what would you dress up for Halloween, to make sure that the audience attention was back to you. Now, moving on to things that you can slightly tweak in your future deliveries to make sure that this is the best possible version of the speech that you can deliver. The first thing that I'd recommend you do for a research and presentation speech is to bring in numbers or facts or references. Now, what we saw in your speech today was a lot of stories about mythical practices or things that may have been done in other countries. While all of this was very intriguing and interesting, what a research and presentation speech commands is some kind of fact that you read on, say, some website or some trustworthy source or some journal or research paper for this kind of speech. Or if it's something more scientific, then numbers and graphs that you can clearly show the audience. The second thing that I'd recommend you bring in a speech that has this much content is to be very, very pointed about what you are going to talk about. For instance, today the theme that we picked up was Halloween, but while we were delivering the speech, we went on to add a little bit of an anecdote about Christmas and how this was also a Samoan tradition that was adopted by white men. While this is an interesting anecdote to add, it did not really add value to the content of your speech. So be very, very pointed about what you're going to talk about. And once you have written your script, go over it, trim down everything that is not aligning to your topic or purpose, and cut it out of your speech. The third thing that I recommend you pay a little bit of focus to is transitions. For instance, let's take how your speech started. It started about why you like Halloween. You started doing this 5 years ago. You started dressing up, etc., etc. Then it moved on to a little bit about history of Halloween. Now, you could have said, why, you may be wondering, why do people do this or something like that. One line to transition from what it means to you to the history. And similarly, from the history we went to jack-o'-lanterns. Now, what I would have liked to see is maybe an anecdote about how this Samoan tradition traveled to, say, America or Ireland or wherever jack-o'-lanterns were being made. And then from Ireland, how did it spread across the globe? So if you have that nice arc towards you in your speech, the transition from one section to other, then that will really help the audience. So in conclusion, keep up your clear voice and make sure that you keep up your audience interaction in your future deliveries. Make sure that for a research and presentation speech, you bring in numbers and references. Make sure that you don't divert from the topic of your speech, and also make sure you add transitions from one section to the other. All the very best for your future delivery. uh, Thanks a lot, timer. So now that we had the evaluation, let's go on to the each of the evaluators that we had today and see what we can do better for both the contest season and for future evaluations. So let's start with Toastmaster Manish. Both Toastmaster Manish and Toastmaster Nagavali, I have to applaud you on being very positive throughout your evaluation and making sure that the speaker feels encouraged. This is the tone that we should maintain both in contests and during club meetings. Now, for Toastmaster Manish, one thing that I commend you on is starting the recommendations before the green card. Now, if you are someone who is going to contest, you should make sure that you start the recommendations either slightly before you see the green card or immediately after you see the green card, to make sure that you have enough time to state your recommendations and summarize. So that is something that we want to keep up during the contest season. Now, a few things that you want to focus on is one, giving pointed areas of strength or improvement. For instance, the first part of your evaluation was a line by line report of the evaluation sheet that spoke about clarity, vocal variety, gestures, and all of that. But for the contest and also during the club meeting, what you want to do is you want to pick out two or three things that the speaker did really well, and then state that the speaker did well, and then give an example of how they did well. Similarly, for recommendations as well, you want to pick out 2 or 3 things that the speaker can do better. State why you felt that way. For instance, if you felt that the voice modulation could have been better, call out an instance in the speech where the speaker said so and so in such a way, whereas you felt the speaker could have said so and so in such a way, and give recommendations for how the speaker can do better. So make sure that both your strengths and weaknesses are pointed. For strengths, state what they did well and why you think they did well, what we can learn from them. For recommendations, state what they can do better, why you think there is area of improvement there, and how can they improve. Now, the second thing that is directly tied to this point, that is for each recommendation that you state, call out an example. Even for strengths, sometimes it's okay if you gloss over it and say you had a lot of clarity in your voice or something like that. But for areas of recommendations, you want to always give examples so that both the speaker and the audience has context on what you talk about. Because if you take almost any speech, there will be scope for voice modulation, there will be scope for gestures, there will be scope for better writing of the script itself. But to make sure that your evaluation is specific to the target speaker speak, make sure that the recommendations you call out have examples tied to them. And the third thing is, while you started your recommendations before the green card, when you actually finished your speech, you were well beyond the red card. If you're contesting in the contest this season, you want to practice and make sure that this doesn't happen, because regardless of how good your evaluation is, if you go beyond the red card, you're going to get disqualified. And the fourth thing that all of us should always look out for is to make sure that we summarize the evaluation to leave both the speaker and the audience with the gist of the points that we spoke about. So always allocate a part of your evaluation for the summary, be it in a club meeting or a contest, and never leave the stage without summarizing. And a summary would typically look like you excelled at blah blah blah. To make your take your speech to the next level, make sure you focus on blah blah blah. If you find it difficult to come up with a summary of this on the fly, make sure you have a template or something like this, and in the end, make sure that the last line you utter is this template that you have, and your brain will automatically fill in the gaps. Now, moving on to Toastmaster Nagavalli. Toastmaster Nagavalli also started on a very positive note. And one thing both Toastmaster Nagavalli and Toastmaster Manish did is they started with how the speech was relevant to them. Both of you, Toastmaster Manish said Halloween is something that all of us have heard about, etc., etc. And Toastmaster Nagavalli also said, I learned a lot from Halloween. So both of you started from how the speech was relevant to you. So that is something you want to keep up. Just make sure that you don't spend a lot of time on it. Saying 1 or 2 lines is always great. It's a great transition from thank you contest master to the evaluation itself, but make sure that it doesn't take up a lot of time in your evaluation. Moving on, I want to commend Toastmaster Nagavalli for having a conclusion in her evaluation. She actually said the conclusion is, we don't have to say that, but it's good to have a part of the evaluation that is the conclusion. Now, a few recommendations for Toastmaster Nagavalli is: one, make sure that you avoid words that are on the negative side. For instance, you called out that one thing that was negative was, we can avoid saying that. We can say one thing that you can do better, or one thing you want to focus on in the future speeches, one thing that will really take your speech to the next level, or something like that. Almost for everything that you say, don't do this or this is negative, you will find a way to rephrase it and say, you can do this way, or this can be avoided, or something like that. So try to be a little bit mindful in your future evaluations. The second thing for you also would be to give examples for every recommendation. And the third thing, if you're contesting and in general meetings as well, you can try to have a little bit more points. I saw that you had one commendation which was humor, and you had two recommendations which was speech was too fast and hand gestures were a little misplaced. But you can try to have up to 5 points in an evaluation and comfortably have time to wrap it up and summarize. So maybe to push yourself a little bit, you can try to come up with more points. But overall, both Toastmaster Manish and Nagavalli, I think, embodied this true spirit of Toastmasters, acknowledge that we evaluate to make the speaker better, and took a really honest and sincere stab at it. So thanks a lot for your evaluations, and thanks Toastmaster Malavika and Gokila for the opportunity to evaluate the evaluators.
Thank you so much, Rupa, for coming on and giving us this lovely feedback and evaluation. Okay.
Thank you, Rupa. Thank you, Malvika. I think let's move on to the Q&A session. Maybe I'll begin with few of my questions that I have. During the evaluation, The evaluator will focus on the speech or the action or taking notes. How does it work effectively, Rupa?
Uh, I would say you call out things that you notice. So if you take any evaluators um, delivery or evaluation, you'll see that a lot of them say I felt this could have been better, or I observed that this went really well. So it's important to acknowledge that an evaluation is at the end of the day what you perceive of the speaker's speech. So don't be anxious about leaving something out, don't be anxious about missing something or anything like that, because if you miss something, that only means that it did not strike a chord with you. For instance, let's say the speaker had a really humorous punchline, but let's say no one in the audience were able to resonate with it and laugh, then it's okay for you as the evaluator to not note it down and call it out in your evaluation. If this was a humorous speech and the speaker was expecting to be evaluated on it, then maybe you can say you tried this out but it didn't land. But if not, it's okay for you to leave it and move on to the more poignant parts of the speech that you want to evaluate. So one thing that I have felt a lot when I was evaluating in the beginning, and a lot of new people in my club are anxious about, is missing out on things, or you know leaving out something. But it's important to acknowledge that you as an evaluator are evaluating what you hear and what you perceive. So it's don't be anxious about that, pay attention to what grabs your attention and call it.
Thank you, Rupa. So I would ask our Toastmasters and guests if you can raise your virtual hands if you have any questions for our chief evaluator.
I have a question for Rupa. Since we have a contest runner-up with us, I just wanted to ask her, how did you start with the contest? Like, what prompted you to start taking part in the Toastmaster contest? And how does it feel to be on that stage when you're giving the evaluation at the final district level stage?
What prompted me to contest was in my first year in Toastmasters and in college, I got the opportunity to represent my club at the area level in District 92. No, one District 120. Yes. And the winner of the area level contest was a very seasoned evaluator, and hearing her evaluation would be like listening to a prepared speech, and the points would be so unique and so filled with clarity and pointed that just standing next to her as the runner up of that contest felt surreal. And in District 120, which I was a part of, the process was the area level winner and runner up would go to the division, and I got the opportunity to stand as the runner up next to her as well. And I would hands down say that that feeling, being the runner up with her in the division, was much more mind blowing and surreal than even being the runner up at the district here. That is how much of an impact she has had on me, and I think that is what prompted me to keep trying in other contests, so that one day, maybe 10-20 years from now, I will probably be like her. So yeah, we all have those Toastmasters or people in life who we just see and we're like, oh my god, how are they like this? So I had one person like that in District 120,
Uh,
and that is, yeah.
do you think taking part in the contest has helped you in any ways? Or do you think it's okay, like just at the club level, it's the same effect as in taking part?
No, because see, at the club level, everyone that you talk to is going to be someone you know, someone who you've seen week after week in all the meetings, who you know how they talk, you know how they're going to receive what you're saying. But when you go to the area, division, district, and by extension, if you go to the international stage, the people you're talking to are completely different from the people that you have around you. And saying something and seeing them resonate with it, saying something to complete strangers and knowing that you can make them relate with you, make them understand what you're saying, that's a very special feeling, and I think I'll cherish it. And if I have the good fortune, maybe someday I'll be able to do that for ISC as
Thank you
well.
so
Hey,
much, Rupa. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Please go ahead. Okay. So, because with the club contest and the evaluation contest is more coming around, share us some tips like which we can point out at the top to do a most effective evaluation.
What has helped me is listening to the speaker. A lot of times I've been able to bring out quotes or phrases that the speaker spoke in my evaluation and related to the content that I was delivering, and I feel like that helped me a lot in like the area division and district level. And apart from that, you have a lot of scope in areas of recommendation. For instance, if you take a lot of evaluations, you'll see people saying the same points like voice modulation, body language, etc., etc. When you practice for the evaluation contest, try to see how specific you can make these points. If you say something like your voice modulation was inappropriate or did not suit this scenario, then you're being very generic. And if you have 8 evaluation contestants, probably all like 6 or 7 of them are going to say the same thing. But if you were to make this pointed, drill down, and be very, very specific about what you want the speaker to do. For instance, if you say when you spoke about the time your mom had a surgery, I felt like you could have brought in a little bit more of emotion in your voice, taken the tone down a little bit, and added sufficient pauses to give this audience enough time to digest what you were saying and how much of an impact it had on you. It's very likely that a lot of people in the contestants list are not going to be this specific, and that automatically gives you an edge, and that automatically makes you stand out and makes you someone that the voting judges are going to remember. So I would say if you had to do one thing, that one thing would be specific in your recommendations.
Thank you,
Rupa, I
Rupa,
have a
again.
question for you.
Yes.
One last question. I just see when you're talking about valuation, we're talking about summary stuff. Uh, I find it hard to just evaluate a person, as you said, falling for all those voice modulation and stuff. But concentrating on script is important, as you said, and I find it really hard to concentrate on a script. So, what do you do to level up and understand how to evaluate a script? Because this I find quite hard for me. I sort of get lost with all the outside and can't really focus on the content.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to turn off my camera because I seem to be having some network issues on my side. But let me start answering your question. So, one thing that really helped me in overcoming this problem is I'm good at taking notes, like even in, during college or even during meetings at my workplace. I am kind of one of the skills I have is I'm able to take notes. So I brought that in during my evaluation. So whenever the speaker starts speaking, I almost always note down the first line that they uttered and the last line that they ended with. And in between, if something catches my attention, then I note that down as well. So when I finish like writing down my notes for the speaker's evaluation, I have the first line they uttered and then all the transitions that happened in their speech and then the last line that they spoke. And in the 5 minutes that I have, or during the normal meeting, during the table topic section, when I have time to prepare for my evaluation, when I look at these subheadings or whatever I've written down, I'm able to recollect most of the speaker's speech. So that is something you could possibly try out, but I don't think I'm the expert on answering this question. Hopefully, it'll come with practice.
Thank you. Any other
For
questions?
instance, for your
No.
speech, the first line I've written, I wrote it from the first attempt. So the first attempt, the first line was, "It's October." And after that, you spoke about the origin of Halloween. And then you moved on to Jack O' Lantern. And then you came to Christmas. And the last part was, "What would you dress up as if you are for Halloween?" And you concluded with, "Don't give them things like banana peels." So now that I have these points, I have enough to leverage and build, reconstruct the rest of the speech. That's what works for me. But again, I don't know the answer to this question.
I have
Thank
a
you, Rupa. Yeah.
question. I mean, obviously, Rupa is very young, and I think maybe she started a contest journey also really young. So I just wanted to know, like, when do you think someone should attempt contests? Like, do you think they need some
Always.
practice?
I feel like if you join Toastmasters, today and your contest is tomorrow, you should go and contest.
But some people are scared now. They're like, I've never done it. I don't know how to do it. And there's so many other things that pop up.
What I can tell you is, however scared contests made me in my first year of college, when I was completely new to Toastmasters and I knew nothing about it, that's exactly how scared contests make me now. And I'm pretty sure that's exactly how scared contests are going to make me 10 years in the future. So, whatever is holding you back, whatever is making you scared, it's not going to go away. And you can tie it to experience, you can tie it to how much time you've had in an organization, but I feel like it is not relevant at all how long you've been here or how much practice you've had. Should you practice before contest? Yes, you definitely should. But should you let that hold you back from actually giving it a try and seeing what happens? You should. And I feel like that applies for everything in life as well. If you have the opportunity to prepare for something, give it your all, prepare as much as you can and do your best job. But if you feel like there is an opportunity that is exciting and new and you want to try it, but you're simply holding back because you haven't had time to prepare, then you probably should.
I think that's a very well put answer. Thank you, Roopa.
Any other questions?
I have a question here. Hi, Roopa.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
Roopa, there are different parameters, right, to judge a particular speech, be it the clarity or the purpose or the gesture and so on, right? And you also mentioned that we should give example about those key parameters. Now, is it advisable to go through each of those example against each of those key parameters, or is it like, okay, it can be a mixture of, for some of the parameters we just say that okay, the clarity was good in the speech and so on, whereas when it comes to the other parameters we give the examples, the relevant examples?
I would say have a maximum of 3 commendations and 3 recommendations. Even that is a lot. I try to limit my feedback to 5 points, either 3 and 2 or 2 and 3, either way. If you see that there are more things that the speaker did well, then try to pick the top 3 and call that out. And maybe if it's a club meeting or something, you can call out the rest offline. And for the 3 that you have, yes, give examples.
Okay, okay. Follow-up question on that part. I know that the evaluators get only 2 to 3 minutes. How can we give the examples as well with those parameters and also try to cover up that much time as well? Because as you mentioned, right, if we go beyond those 3 minutes, and so we by default we get disqualified. So how can we ensure that we complete our evaluation within those 3 minutes by with giving those examples as well?
I would say I haven't had issues doing that, but I think that came with practice. So try to be as concise as possible. Usually, one nice place to start is, I think you did really well here in this aspect. I think you exemplified your voice modulation very well. The part that it really stood out was when you called out the part about why Halloween mattered to you or something like that. So you have that. I think you did this well. This stood out in this part of your speech, and then let's just fill it in. So usually for every point, you wouldn't take more than 3 or 4 lines. And if you had to time box, then I would say a lot lesser time for recommendations and more time for, lesser time for commendations and more time for areas of improvement. So that way you can be a little bit more elaborate for areas of improvement, and for things that went well, you can call out where it went well and what was the trait. So,
Okay.
Thank you,
and if you
Manish.
still
Yeah.
didn't have time, I'd say give examples for areas of improvement and maybe compromise on giving examples for things that went well.
Okay. So, any other questions for our chief evaluator? Okay. I take that as a no. Rupa, would you like to share some feedback about this workshop?
Hey, I think it's a really great initiative, and I am really happy that someone is doing this. and I'm really happy for the opportunity as well. The structure also, it's been very well thought out. We've decided that we'll cut down on everything that is not absolutely necessary for the purpose of the meeting, and we'll have only the timer, a moderator, speaker, evaluator, and chief evaluator. And this is a really well thought out initiative that will definitely, I'm sure, be beneficial for the members of the club, not just during the contest season, but overall in improving the quality of evaluations as well. So whoever came up with the idea, great job.
Thank you, Rupa. I would like to thank our president, Malvika, for
I would
bringing
just
up
like to
this
add, it's
workshop.
actually
Yeah.
Suresh's format that I have copied. So I'm just going to give credit to Toastmaster Suresh here.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you all. So now we have come to the end of the session. I would extend my heartfelt gratitude for all of you for your active participation and enthusiasm during this session. And my sincere appreciation and gratefulness to our Chief Evaluator Rupa for sharing her profound knowledge on evaluation. Your insights were very valuable and it certainly enriched our understanding as well. I would also extend my warm thanks to our members for joining us today. Your presence had made this event even more special. We look forward to see you all again in our next evaluation workshop coming Friday at the same time with our distinguished Toastmaster Gauri Shankar. Would love to see you all again and wishing you all have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Uh, Thank you everyone for joining and have a good day. Thanks, Gopila.
Thanks everyone. Bye.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
all. Bye.
Bye.